Everyone is lying to you about which AI model is best right now. The benchmarks are bought, the YouTube videos are sponsored, and the Twitter debates are done by guys who haven't tried these models by themselves yet. So this week, I myself decided to test four popular AI models on same prompts, same settings, and I ranked them honestly. One of the models surprised me so much that I almost kept it out of my analysis. Stick around because at the end of this video, you will figure out which model to use and which one is an expensive hype. Hi, I'm Raj and I'm testing four popular AI tools so you don't have to waste your money and time on this analysis. So this week, I ran a full gauntlet on four popular AI models, including the GPT-4o from OpenAI, Claude from Anthropic, Gemini 1.5 Pro from Google, and Qwen 3.6 Pro, the Chinese open source model everybody is talking about. And I also mentioned about this model in my last week's news podcast. I'm not sponsored by any of them, no affiliate links. I have paid for all these models from my own pocket. Okay, so here's what I tested these models on. So, number one, logical reasoning, solving problems that test logic, reasoning, and deductive thinking. Number two, creative writing, crafting stories, openings, and creative content. Number three, writing code, finding bugs, and solving technical problems. So I gave it a broken code and let's see how it responds. A real world business task. So I have designed a real world business problem for all the four AIs and let's see what kind of response or professional consultation we expect from these AIs. And number five is a wildcard, a surprise prompt which I did not know what to expect out of all the four AIs. So let's begin. Okay, so as we move on, these are the three simple rules I have designed for this entire test. First is I will put exact same prompt in all the four AIs. I will use the default settings, no system prompts, no special modes, no temperature tweaking. And the third, how I am judging them on, is on accuracy, usefulness, and honestly, how it feels to use the actual answer. Because I feel the actual AI is not the one that performs best on a benchmark, but the one you would actually reach out at 11 p.m. at night to get something done. Okay, so I have these four models listed here. This is ChatGPT, this is Google Gemini, this is Claude, and this is Qwen Studio. Okay, so we'll start with the first prompt, that is logical reasoning. So the prompt that I'm giving them is: a man walks into a hardware store and asks for something he doesn't need. He buys it anyway. He goes home and throws away what he doesn't need. He keeps what he does need. What did he buy? So let's see how do these four models process this logical reasoning question. Okay, so our models have started responding. So ChatGPT has responded with a very short answer. So it got to an answer which is a box of nails. And technically, I would say it didn't explain the reasoning behind it. So it's weirdly lifeless. The answer it has given is a box of nail. Let's see what others have responded. So this is Gemini, which he bought a kitchen faucet, the packaging he didn't need, and he threw the faucet. This is the wrong answer and could not give a response. Third is Claude AI. So Claude AI has given a detailed answer where he says he bought a box of matches, bought a coffin. The answer is calendar, and then he recalibrates and says no. So he says the classic answer to the riddle is box of matches, but then it's weighted again. So finally, after a lot of thought, it came back to the answer: he bought a coffin, which is the right answer. Okay, so Claude got to the right answer, and let's see what Quin's. So Qwen is also saying it's a classic lateral thinking riddle. So this much Qwen could figure out, and the answer is coffin. That's also correct. So how it works is that it gives a small explanation that's also impressive, but it didn't show the thinking, the way it thought. So Claude explained two different answers, showed analysis in depth, and came to a final answer. And the correct answer is coffin, yes. So Claude could get this one right. Okay, so these are the final results from the first round of logical reasoning, where ChatGPT and Gemini were not impressive. Claude was very impressive. And Qwen came up with the right answer, but did not show the lateral thinking that went into deducing that answer, which Claude did. And it also gave a couple of more options which could have been closer to the answer, like box of matches. So I would say winner of this round is Claude Sonnet 4.6. Okay, so let's move on to creative thinking and let's see how the four models respond to our prompt. So the prompt is: write the opening paragraph of a thriller set on an international space station. The first sentence must be a piece of dialogue. So let's put this prompt in ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Qwen. So I took some time and read these responses and rated them on the basis of the way they brought these answers out. Okay, so here are the results for creative writing. I'm not going into the depth of everything, but let me read the clear winner, where I found Claude's Sonnet 4.6 gave a very intriguing answer. It started with a suspense word where it said she's not breathing, and it goes from a medical mystery to a murder mystery without announcing it. And honestly, it was very engaging to read this answer. Rest of the answers were fine, but Gemini was the weakest of all four. It was too technical, too long. I found that it was entangled in its own mystery. It was not easier to get engaged to. So this is my evaluation of these four models in creative writing. So the third problem was a broken code that I fed into all these four AIs. So it was a broken Fibonacci series. They had to find two bugs in this code. One was logical and one was a runtime error. So let's see how these four models performed. So I fed this thing into ChatGPT, into Google Gemini, into Claude, and Qwen, the same code to all four. So let's see what the response is. So ChatGPT has responded. It identified a dictionary while iterating, okay, and then redundant condition, logical issue, potential data safety issue, and subtle behavior. So it finally gave up a cleaned version, and the answer 7. So Gemini, it gave the first, okay, it identifies the fatal bug, which is the runtime error, and then it says the logical bug, redundant if else block. So it has identified both, and it has also given a non Pythonic iteration. So it found one more problem. Okay. And the final solution is this, and the answer is 7. And then Claude. Let's see what Claude could do about this Fibonacci series, the error that we gave. So Claude found one bug, and the second bug, no guard for negative input. Okay, so Claude found one error. And then finally, Qwen found the critical bug, modifying the dictionary, logical issue it found, and the robustness notes. Okay. Okay, so here is my response on coding, where ChatGPT fixes only runtime issue. Gemini fixed both bugs, as we all saw. Claude is okay, it fixed the runtime issue. And Qwen keeps the logical bug intentionally. So that's what I figured out, and this is my analysis of coding. Okay, let's move on. So I'm asking these models to perform a real business task where they have to write a cold email for marketing their services. So let's see how they have performed. So the prompt is: write a cold email from a freelance web designer trying to land a small business owner as a client. Keep it under 150 words. Be specific, not generic. So quick fix to your turn is the subject, and I came across your site. Notice homepage takes 5 seconds. So this is ChatGPT's response. This is Gemini's response, and this is Claude's response, and this is Qwen Studio's response. So this is my analysis of asking them to write a cold email. So ChatGPT was generic and it lacked impact. That's what I found. Gemini 3 was too generic to stand out, and the line which says, as a fan of your work, is too pleasing and overused. And Claude Sonnet was very precise, targeted, and convincing. That's what I found. And Qwen misses the brief. It doesn't talk about the business, it jumps straight into the solution. So Claude is the winner of this round, as per me. Let's move on. So this is the fifth and last category where I evaluated these four AI models. And this is the wild card where I asked it to solve a problem which says, my business partner just told me via text that they want to dissolve our company. I found out that they've been talking to our biggest client behind my back, and write me a response text to send them. So we will do a little sentiment analysis and see how, if it empathizes with us or if it just gives a straight answer. Let's see how these four models perform. So ChatGPT responds by giving me this message, which says, I just saw your message and honestly, I'm surprised how you chose to handle things. Okay, so this became a little sarcastic in its response. This is the second one where it says that it's a tough situation, so it's empathizing with you. And it gives you three options. This is Gemini. Gemini gave you three options: firm and professional, brief and paper trailing, and short and direct. We move on to Claude. Claude also gave you three options: stay calm, protect yourself, assert your position, and short and natural. So the way you want to respond, it left it upon you. And also it says that a few things you have to keep in mind regardless of what you send. So yes, it gives a detailed answer to this. And this is Qwen, which does the same thing. It gives you three answers and it also lists down critical next steps. So this is my analysis of the wildcard category, where ChatGPT was a straightforward response, one direct message, no options, no reassurance. And I won't rate it a higher response. Gemini 3 balanced options with guidelines. It was a fairly balanced response. It gave three pro tips as well. And then Claude, it was the most high quality options with strong guidance. I found that the first two were detailed, and then there was a short response where if you don't want to talk over text, you can go and meet in person. So that was very thoughtful of Claude. And same was Qwen. Qwen was very action oriented with the next steps. It gave three options, similar options, and it matched at par with Gemini 3 Pro. Okay, so in this round, the winner I would say is Claude again. I like the way it gave the response and the follow up steps. So I like Claude response much better. Okay, so I felt Claude won 4 out of 5 rounds, but more importantly, it won differently than I expected. It wasn't just accurate, it was more useful. It was information which I could use and explore further. So I felt that it actually anticipated what I needed and not what I literally asked for. So that's a different thing. GPT-4o was also excellent. If you're paying for it, you're not wasting your money, but it felt more like a very fast, accurate intern, and Claude more like a collaborator. So Qwen actually surprised me on business writing round, and it is free, it is fast, it was very good on certain tasks, and it did direct copywriting as well. And if you're on a budget, you should consider Qwen. Qwen is also competing very well with all these models. So Google Gemini, it was a rough week for it. I don't enjoy saying this, but it missed a few bugs and breaking a word constraint, using email cliches, and it was not very impressive. But yeah, it performed well on one task, which was coding. So one more thing before you go. So I'm going to run these tests 90 days later in same 5 categories with different prompts, and let's see if any of these models outperform their current performance. And if you want to see this rematch, you should subscribe. So I post an informative AI video on Tuesdays 7 p.m. and this is a series we call Tutor Tuesday, and I come up with weekly AI news. What's happening in AI globally? I list down 3 very important news where AI is affecting people's lives. So Thursday 7 p.m, 3 news, no fluff, no hype. Also drop a comment about this analysis or which AI model you like to use a lot, or if you had a different experience than me evaluating these models, you should mention that in a comment, and I will consider that when I do the next analysis 90 days later. So see you all next week on Tutor Tuesday at 7 p.m. And do not forget to tune in on Thursday 7 p.m. for very engaging AI news, because this week I'm talking about Claude's next update, which is Mythos, which was deliberately not released because it is so powerful that it could affect geopolitics and financial systems worldwide. So tune in at Thursday 7 p.m. sharp. Keep watching. This is Raj. I'll see you next Tuesday.